welcome to it. So this is part 2 of episode 1 of Catch My Thrift with me, Kgololo, the Uncool, and Kgosieng. So as I mentioned in the first part, this will be a 3-part verbal and audio only, I guess. We have we have a guest. We have my lovely tuxedo cat Felix, who wants to get out, so I will have to open the door for him. But as I was mentioning, this is going to be audio only because I would like to take this opportunity to introduce myself. So I mentioned also that I would like to split it into 3 segments of 10 minutes each, where I cover 3 titles. The first being my name, which you can go and listen to, I guess, on the first episode, and the second being what it is I want, what it is I'm about, if I could put it in a different way, and the third, which will be the next insert, will be about how I go about getting it. So yeah, let's get into it. So the second, excuse me, I just had to stop there for a second. So the second title, what it is I am about and what it is that I want. I guess out of this experience, which we call life, it's quite a loaded question, really. I don't think anybody would be able to, I suppose, eloquently answer this question in one shot or with one sweet sentence. But if I were to give it a shot, then I would say I want to, and I am documenting a life experience through music, fashion, art, and my lifestyle, or lifestyle in general. What does that mean? So I'm a musician, I'm an artist, I'm a sound engineer, I'm a designer, I'm a graphic designer. I have ADHD. I have a lot of ADHD, so I find it difficult to concentrate on one thing for too long. But over time, I've learned to make the most of that. Also, if you know a little bit about being neurospicy or ADHD itself, there's quite a few different superpowers that I'd like to call them now that you get. And a lot of the time, if you know how to prioritize correctly, those superpowers can work hand in hand. So my inability to fixate on one thing for too long has worked well with my ability to really dive into the depths of something. So I'm really into the exploration of knowledge, so much so that I'm deeply into pseudosciences like numerology, astrology. I'm into something new called human design. I'm into the esoteric and the occult. I read a little bit about magic and, spirituality, metaphysics, things like that. I'm really deeply into those things, and I really enjoy finding out new information about these things. And as I mentioned, these tend to be rabbit holes. So I find myself up in the wee hours of the morning learning about something that I had never thought I would learn about, but I still somewhat find a way to make it relatable to everything else that I've learned and somewhat categorize, or there's a very good word for it. There's a very good word that I'm looking for. I'll have to think about what that word is. So yeah, I do that on a daily. I do that on a daily basis, and that's how I spend most of my time. Filtering through information, curating information on the internet. I don't read as much as what I used to, simply because I feel like the internet technology has gotten to a point where it's really kind of unnecessary for me to be lugging around the whole book, and a lot of the times the books that I would enjoy reading are quite thick, so they are somewhat inconvenient. I do enjoy the actual physical act of reading. I prefer an actual book more than I read off of like a digital screen, like a cell phone or a tablet or my computer screen. I prefer the smell of the actual pages and the feel of the pages in my hands while I'm reading. That's part of the entire experience for me. So yeah, as I was saying, I digress. I did mention the ADHD. This is going to happen often, especially if we're having these one-on-ones where it's just me and I am left to my own devices as opposed to an interview with a guest, which is what this podcast will mostly be about in the near future, in fact. So we've covered what it is I do and how I do it. But what am I about? What do I want? So the documenting of a life experience through music, fashion, and art, if I could reiterate. Now, how I go about this on a daily is, aside from the fact that I do my own thing, I make my own music, I put it up on Spotify and other DSPs and things like that. I design my own clothes and I put them on, I guess, and I model them and I apply for like fashion shows, which I will be involved in one on the 23rd of September. I'll give you more details about that. I'm on social media. I post my things on TikTok. I post my things on Instagram and YouTube and, any other social media platform that's relevant to whatever it is I'm trying to get out there. As much as I'm doing all of that on my own volition for my own, I guess, for the sake of achieving my goals, I still feel as if though that's only half of what is essential for me to attain fulfillment in this lifetime. What I mean by that is that the other half, and the more important half, the bigger half, the half that actually has the more impactful half on me as a person and this experience that I am trying to document, is my impact on other people's lives. How I touch other people's lives and how I influence change in other people's lives. And I've noticed that has been a very, very key function or key role or key characteristic in my play, in my life's play. If I am the protagonist of my life's play, one of my key characteristics is the fact that I often have a very lasting impact on other people's lives, and I enjoy it and I aspire to it, and it's something that I have now learned to hone and master. Because there's a deep fulfillment that comes from something as little as imparting a thought in a sense, in the form of a perspective backed up with some actual facts, in passing conversation, something small, and having that be something influential, something that molds someone, something that someone keeps as one of their values moving on in life. And I find that I get that often. That I meet people that I haven't spoken to, or people that I even speak to often, that be like, yo, no man, I still remember the one time we were talking about this and this and this or that thing, and you said this and this or that in passing, but I live by those words. And I've always aspired to being one of those people. So my ultimate goal in this lifetime is to be influential, but not in the sense that social media and the vast mass media has created what being influential is. I don't want to be an influencer. I want to actually have influence, and I want to influence. More than that, I want to influence change. I mentioned that I'm into pseudosciences. Astrology is one of my favorite. I happen to know my big three. I'm a Capricorn sun, I am a Pisces moon, and I am an Aquarius rising. So we'll talk more about those in other episodes, I suppose. I think we'll talk more about those in other episodes. I have less than a minute left on this episode, and as I mentioned, I'm trying to go for 10 minutes in each episode. I feel like we've covered a lot of what it is I'm about, and I feel like I've given you a bit of a more in-depth idea of what it is that I'm about and what I aspire to do with this podcast more than anything else. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in, listening in, giving me 10 minutes of your absolutely valuable and irreplaceable time. And I hope we will meet up again here on Catch My Thrift. And enjoy the rest of your day, evening, afternoon, whatever. Thank you.